Saturdays are for talking sports. The All Sport Breakfast with Peter Kelly of Bailey's Real Estate. Trust a proven performer. Newstalk ZB.
You and me going fishing in the dark, lying on our backs and counting the stars where the cool grass grows. Down by the river in the full moonlight, we'll be falling in love in the middle of the night, just moving slow. Staying the whole night through, it feels so good to be.
Well, a very good morning and welcome along, campers, because guess what? It's Easter, and that means that Chris Bungard, his wife, has probably bought him about 800 Easter eggs, going to bulk him up a little bit with a little bit of milk chocolate, white chocolate, dark chocolate, and he's shaking his head saying, no, Mintie, I'm a fine, clean-living machine of a person who doesn't need chocolate.
No, I didn't say that. All I said is my wife hasn't bought me any. But that's all right.
Why is
good
that?
morning.
Why is
good
that?
morning. Because I'm probably not a well-behaved enough Easter bunny or something, but...
have you been a naughty bunny?
My nickname used to be Bunny, actually, a little bit when I was young. But,
have you been a naughty bunny then?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Hopping around. Hey, look, good morning, everybody. It's a fishing show. It's Easter. Yes, it is, and we probably could have easily have had the weekend off, but we thought, no, we'll come along, share a bit of fishing with you, get around some skippers around the countryside. We aren't able to get a hold of Rick Pollock. I think he's gone up the Wanganella Banks, a lucky man. And John Elwood, I think, is out the back of the barrier somewhere and haven't been able to get a hold of him. So I'll tell you what, if you have been fishing Waihau Bay area or know somebody that has in the past week or so, feel free to give us a call and we'll put you on air and you can give us a bit of an update on what's been happening down there. I've heard that there's a few blues showing up and that sort of thing. Hey, look, some local lads, like to say a very good big hello and congratulations to Todd Crabb and his crew. They, him and Andrew Smelly and Matt Martin and I think another lad, I can't think who it was, but they went up to the Three Kings in Toddy's own boat. He's got about a 53-foot Riviera, I think it is. And they did very well. They got a beautiful big tuna. They got a nice marlin and other bits and pieces. So, yeah, well done, boys. If you're listening in, congratulations.
I got a question for you, Bungee. Well, since you got a bit of time this morning, and a few people have been asking me, why are we seeing such a, what's the right word? Probably a scourge, and not a scourge, but such a devouring amount of sharks appearing around all our coasts. And they're taking, I've never seen anything like it, photos of my friends and sending up photos of just heads of so many fish. What's causing this? Well,
I've got a theory on it, and I'll throw it out there. People might disagree with me, they might agree with me, but I've had this theory for years that they're a predatory fish, of course. They feed out in the Bay of Plenty, all around our coastline. And in particular, I think areas like the Bay of Plenty and that, we are just absolutely raping the place with purse seiners and taking all the bait and all that sort of thing. I've been saying it for years. And seriously, when my boys are 31 now, when they were little fellas, we could go out to Mare Island and you could just about walk on bait fish from the Mount to Mare Island. Now you can go 4 days of a game tournament and not see a school of bait fish. So you're taking away their food, Mintie, and they're predatory fish. So if they're getting hungry, they're going to look at other avenues of food, and they're getting to know burley and all that sort of thing as well, of course, and that's part of attracting snapper. You also attract the predatory fish like sharks, but they are worse than they have been for a long time, and I honestly think that we're taking away their food supply. And as I say, they're predatory, they're hunters. They're going to look for food in other places. So it worries me that that poor lady that got attacked by the shark at Waihi there, let's hope that this is not a start of something because they are getting hungrier. And it's the old story. If you take away their food, it's just like any other animal. They're going to look for other means of satisfying themselves. So it does worry me.
They're not as though they're going to have a feed of grass or something, is it?
No, exactly.
Sort of floating in the
water. They can't eat
water.
the sand or the salt or the water or the seaweed. So, yeah. Watch the space, and they are turning. I've been saying it for years that the Bay of Plenty is turning into an aquatic desert as far as bait fish and all that goes. These guys are taking out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tons every year. To me, it's got to stop. Legacy and those guys are doing bits and pieces and trying to do a lot of work to try and stop it, but. To me, as recreational fishermen, I think we need to get more proactive as well, and we need to. I think a perfect scenario for the Bay of Plenty would be to put in a no commercial zone inside the 200-metre line or even the 100-metre line. So, and it's just such a natural line. You've got basically a line from the outside of Great Barrier, Cuvier, Red Murk, Aldermans, Mare, schooner, whale. A line through there, no purse seining or commercial fishing inside that area. Leave it for recreation. And I'll tell you what, you would see that place recover within 5 to 10 years like you wouldn't believe. But, and there's a lot of ocean out there. These big purse seiners are 150 feet plus. They don't need to be in close. They can get the hell out of it and leave it to the recreational guys. But, now Forest and Bird are pandering around with this blimmin' trying to close off all the reefs around Astrolabe, Pudney, Brewers Shoals and all those sorts of things. But they're not closing them off to commercial guys. Admittedly, commercial sector, they can't troll or purse seine over reefs anyway. But
the commercial sector pay a lot of money to places at times.
Funny that, eh? Funny that.
Did I say that? Did I say that out loud?
Absolutely.
Sorry, that was very bad of Mintie, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Naughty boy. The only other thing we could do you reckon we could invest in a government study to see if we can turn sharks vegan?
Listen, well, this government could probably do that because they've got that many studies going at the moment anyway. That's all they seem to do is have studies. But however,
do you want to read that?
We want to go into this.
After you've done that, we'll take an ad break and then we'll start talking real stuff. But no, I'm with you, Chris. Look, we've already had 2 messages in. I agree with you totally, Chris. Yeah, it's just we're really pillaging the sort of inshore fishing grounds.
Absolutely, man. The Bay of Plenty, it's in a bad way. Hey, look at the weather. Colville region today, southwesterly, 20 knots, turning to southeast to 20 knots this morning, easing to variable 10 knots this afternoon, a moderate sea easing, a southeast swell of 1 metre developing, fair visibility and showers in the morning. Sunday, norwesterly of 15 knots developing in the morning and then changing to southwest to 10 knots at night. Monday, southwest to 15 knots. Tuesday, southwest to 15 knots. In the Bay of Plenty, southwesterly 20 knots, turning to southeast to 25 knots mid-morning, easing to a 15 knots around midday and then variable of 10 knots in the afternoon. Sea becoming rough for a time, a southeast swell of 1 metre developing offshore. Fair visibility and showers this morning. On Sunday, westerly of 15 knots developing in the morning. Monday, westerly of 20 knots. Tuesday, southwest of 15 knots, easing to variable of 10 knots. Raglan today, southerly of 20 knots, easing to variable of 10 knots this afternoon, a moderate sea easing, long period, a southwest swell of 2 metres. Sunday, westerly of 15 knots developing in the morning, a moderate southwest swell easing. Monday morning, westerly 20 knots, a southwest swell becoming moderate, and then Tuesday, southwest of 15 knots and a southwest swell becoming fairly heavy. So, yeah, looks like, this afternoon might be okay in places, but Colville, places like that, they're certainly up around the mussel farms and everything would be fine up there, I would have thought, but there will be a bit of breeze coming across the Firth at some stage. We'd love to hear from you. Give us a call. Now, today, we're going to do the draw for that beautiful Stratic 5000.
It's me.
I know.
It's me.
Very close. I'll go and get you a bit.
But we haven't even drawn it yet. How can you say I'm very close if we haven't drawn it?
I got this perception. Yeah, I think you'll be close, but not quite. Hey, look, if you did call in, and
I'm hurt.
In the month of March, of course, you will be in the draw for this beautiful Stratic 5000 reel. It's on a blackout rod. It's a $600 combination, and your name could come out before the end of the show today. Also, of course, that fantastic watch from Dinsdale Jewellers, that Olympic dive watch. It's an absolute awesome piece of equipment. And if you go and see Mike at Dinsdale Jewellers, he's got all sorts of goodies there for telling the time, grease gunning around the wife. I mean,
if you really think I'm quite cool, you can even get a little thing to go on your bracelet, the little thing. It says it's moments like these you need Minties. It's the shape of a Mintie. You could get one of those.
I think it says Minties, not Mintie.
No, moments like these need Mintie. It's moments like these. Yeah, it is. I'm sure.
You've already ground the S off your wife's one, haven't you?
He's made it especially for me.
I thought so. And you can text me, of course, on 0274 728 674. As I said, if you've been out to Waihau Bay or if you've been out the back of the Mercs or anything, or Todd Crab, mate, if you're listening in, give us a call on 07834 1296. We'd love to hear about your ventures out there. There has been some nice blues showing up in Waihau Bay, and there's a bit happening down there. I see a few boats heading through this morning nice and early, so they're obviously heading somewhere in that region. Give us a call, as I said, 07834 1296. You can text me, 0274 728 674, and of course they can email you, Mintie.
They can indeed. Waikato Sport at newstalkzb.co.nz, or get on our Facebook page, Waikato's All Sports Breakfast, and send us a message through there, as a heap of people are doing now. So there's lots of ways for you to get in contact with us, and you can win that watch or that rod.
Weekend's finally here. And it starts now. It's the All Sport Breakfast with Peter Kelly of Bailey's Real Estate. Trust a proven performer. Newstalk ZB.
And you're with the Fishing Show on Newstalk ZB. Just got a text through from Leighton. Thanks for that, Leighton. And yes, this Netflix documentary that's on at the moment, my son actually phoned me from Perth the other day and said, Dad, you need to watch this. It's called Seaspiracy. And it's all about...
Is it a New Zealand thing?
No, it's
a world
it's
thing.
a world thing, and it's called Seaspiracy, and it's all about the overfishing and all that thing of the commercial sector all through the world and what's going on around the world. It's absolutely amazing. So thanks for that, Leighton. So if anybody can watch that, if you're on Netflix,
How do you spell it?
Seaspiracy, Seaspiracy. And Adam was just blown away from it. He said, Dad, it almost makes you cry. So anyway, let's head up to the beautiful Coromandel now. And on a brighter note, a man who's skipping around the place like the Easter Bunny is young Daryl. Good morning, mate.
Yeah, morning, Bungee. Got my new moon boot on yesterday, so
All right.
bit happier, moving around the place a bit and on the road to recovery. So, yeah, all good. Hey, just sitting here watching the horizon slowly get lighter and lighter, and I tell you what, there's not many clouds in the sky, and looking at the forecast, man, it looks pretty good to get out there this Easter, all Easter by the look of it, not just today. Tomorrow looks good, Monday looks good if you're still sticking around, and it looks pretty nice. So the big tides that we've had lately are waning, which means they're getting smaller again. So a bit more manageable out there. We've had a couple of tough trips during the week, and struggling in these bigger tides. Get out deep, and of course a lot of current, hard to stay in touch with your bait. The plan lately has been going in shallow, and I had a boat yesterday that didn't even leave the harbour, and they got their limit. So there's a little clue on where maybe to fish today, Bungee.
Absolutely, brother. Spot X, eh? Spot X. We won't say too much about that. But no, we always say on the program that, fish your feet first in these big tides because you do get that extra tide movement. Snapper love a bit of current. They love a bit of movement in the water. You get that burley going, and, even on a charter boat like you guys are running there where you've got say a dozen anglers, most guys have got 2 pieces of bait on their ledger rig, so you've got 24 pieces of bait sitting down there. Quite a burley trail, really, even if you're not doing any other burling. It's quite amazing how it gets out there. And that you can use that tide run to your advantage big time. Places like Manaia Harbour, Deadman's Point, around the Cow and Calf, you can tuck in behind there and get a burley trail going and that sort of thing. And, boy, we've had some great reports coming into the shop, Daryl, of, snapper between sort of 15 and 17 pound. Not really that uncommon now.
Yeah, that's right. And, like you say, if you can take advantage of those tides, and by taking advantage, we mean, getting in those places that don't normally get a lot of current in those bigger tides, quite shallow places, and people are quite amazed by how shallow we do go. We take our charter boats. It's only, 7, 8, maybe 10 metres in the deeper spots, and people, we're fishing away, catching plenty of fish, and they say, geez, how deep is it here? Say, it's only 8 metres, and it blows them away. And you got a boatload of people in that shallow, and like yesterday we killed it in pretty shallow water, and it just goes to show that the fish, they're there, and it was bright, the sun was shining, wasn't exactly rough, there wasn't a big chop on the water or anything. So by taking advantage of those tides, that's what we mean is figuring out where the little spots where these fish could be and be holding, and like you say, get a bit of burley going and use those tides to your advantage can make a big deal.
Oh yeah, man, and I'll tell you what, if I was planning today, and no doubt you've looked at the tides as well, and even though you're not on the water at the moment, every good skipper looks at tides and bite times and all that sort of thing. This afternoon you got a low tide at 6:46, and I think that is fantastic, man. Quarter to 7, you got dead low tide. I'd get there a couple of hours before that. You got a prime bite time around about 5 o'clock, but fish that last hour or so going out of the tide, and then the first hour or so lift coming into the change of light. Boy, I think that's a pretty good recipe, man.
Yeah, mate, it doesn't get much more perfect than that, and if you can't make it tonight, well, tomorrow's going to be pretty much the same as well. Yeah. You'll be able to stock up your chili bins before you head home, so yeah, make a plan around those, like this evening and tomorrow evening, like you say, they are absolutely perfect, and like I say, the weather is good too. We've got those big tides waning, there's still a bit of current there, you can still make use of that. Stock up on a bit of burley, get some light little stray lines going. That's what's been working really well lately in shallower waters. Little 1/4 ounce sinker. I don't use a trace personally myself, I get more hookups, but every now and then, of course, you've talked about the big boys that were hooking lately. You hook a big one, and without a trace, you're probably going to get done. But you will hook more fish with no trace or a lighter trace, and the odd kingy around as well, Bungee. So yeah, target those 2 evenings. The next 2 evenings, you're going to be happy people, I think.
Absolutely, mate. And I've been trying to convince Mintie here that he's saying, why is the bite time today the same time as tomorrow? And the clocks go back tonight, of course, so you can fish exactly the same period tomorrow night as you are tonight. Yeah, I'm just having trouble getting it through to him.
Yeah, it's not rocket science, Mintie.
Eh? I'm just trying to figure out, I'm still catching up with the fact fishing's so easy and you can catch anything. Well, I haven't seen any sort of polystyrene flat pack vacuum packed fish arriving from the Coromandel to my house, so I'm just wondering what's going on.
Yeah. I just wish
I'm not actually on the water, Mintie, so when I get on the water, I'll send a flat pack your way, eh?
Yeah. The only flat pack he's got is the 6-pack he's got in front of him, but that's
well, a potential 6-pack.
Is that why we've had to cut the notch in the desk so I can get close to the mic?
That's the one.
Now, look, before you go, let's be useful.
Oh.
Now, look, I've given you 3 or 4 chances this year to actually pick the right numbers for rods and watches, and so far you've been fairly average.
May I say you've been one off twice though.
I'm a lot of one-offs. You look, a lot of one-offs.
I don't know. I think there'll be 3 or 4 people out there this year that'll be pretty happy with my picks, Mintie.
Exactly, mate.
Yeah. Look, hey, righto. So it wasn't a bad little run we've actually had, Bunge, in the last
Very
month.
busy month.
Even though we had a day off and I closed for a day, we've got 211 names, please. I need 2 numbers and do your best. Just do your best.
All right, Mintie. I'm trying to channel your thoughts here, and I'm thinking you're thinking to me 37 is your number, I do believe, and Mr. 211. How about that?
Well, you got one small problem because 38 was my race number and you've gone one shy of it.
Oh, one off again.
One off again.
Hey, how unlucky.
It's looking that way.
Yeah.
No, okay, I'll go hunting through and see what I can find for those 2 numbers. Thank you, sir.
Good stuff. Good luck, team.
Have a good day, mate.
Your kindness is exceeded only by your beauty.
No drinking before work, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Righto, mate. Have a great day, eh? And thanks for your time. We do appreciate it, mate. Have a good one.
There you go.
Righto. Well, number 37 for the watch, eh? A Dinsdale jeweller watch.
Yeah, we can do that.
Number 37 and number 211 for the rod and reel. So that's going to take a bit of time to search through. We better take a break.
Thank you so much.
And you're with the Fishing Show on Newstalk ZB. Have a quick look at the tides for you. Then we're going to head out to the beautiful West Coast and catch up with Dwayne Penny. On the East Coast today, we've got a high tide at 12:38 p.m. today. Low tide at 6:21 a.m. this morning, so that's already been. It's low again at 6:46 p.m. this evening. Fish that changed a lot this evening, I think, should be really good. On the West Coast, we've got a high tide at 3:30 p.m. this afternoon, a low tide at 8 minutes past 9 at the moment, so Dwayne's probably heading out on the bar at a bit of a tricky time because it's the outgoing tide and they're reasonably big tides still at the moment. And the bite times for you today, there's a 10:51 a.m. this morning, there's a very good one at 5 o'clock this evening. Tomorrow, exactly the same, of course, because tonight your clocks go back an hour, so same times tomorrow, 10:46 a.m. and 5 o'clock in the evening. Monday, 11:42 a.m. and then there's a very good one at 5:56 in the evening. So let's head out the West Coast now and find out what's happening. It's good morning, young Daryl. Morning, Dwayne. I've just been talking to Daryl, but I got all mixed up because you got your lovely wife beside you there, and I'm sort of not quite used to that. It's throwing me a bit.
Yeah. Well, that's right. It's throwing me a little bit too, but apparently she needs to see me. So it's been a busy year. So that's the only way they can see me is to come out on the boat.
Yeah. Well, I hope there's only you and her on board, mate. And you're going to make a day of it, or have you taken a crew with you?
Yeah, no, we got a full boat today.
Oh, say no more, mate. Say no more. Hey, look, first of all, like it's that sort of weather forecast, really, where if you're in a fizz boat, you'd be sort of humming and hawing whether it's good or bad or indifferent. What's your thoughts? What's it going to be like out there over the next day or two?
Yeah, the tides aren't the best day, to be honest. They're a little bit backwards, but I think if you went out later in the day, we'll just come over the bar now. It's quite workable. There are pleasure boats coming out. There is the odd one breaking across, though. Just bear in mind we are coming up to low tide and there's a little bit of pressure there. Tides are fairly big. But yeah, this afternoon should be all good. And if that sort of sou'wester or something gets up, you can always hide in the bay. There's a bit of fish hanging around on the leeward side of Albatross there. So, there's a few options.
Okay, mate. Yeah, and looking like for late Sunday, Monday, they're talking a bit of a heavier swell coming in, and for people who don't understand that, it's sort of bigger and a bit deeper swell, if you know what I mean, and you get a bit more pressure with that, so that could be a little bit curly on the bar as well if you get to Monday. Yeah,
possibly. It's one of those things you're just going to have to monitor as we go. The bar was a bit better than what we expected. We have been leaving a little bit later, but today we left on time. We have been waiting for that side to turn, but we'll just have to see what happens. But you may have to just go later in the day and work those sides a little bit more.
Yeah, good man. You've had a couple of trips out the trench, mate, and that's been good. What's it been like this week? I think the weather's been a little bit scruffy, really, to be fair.
Yeah, we haven't been out to the trench this week, but the fishing's been unreal out there this year. We've had a boomer year. Our last trip out was just heaps of blue nose. You could have sunk the boat with them, and a lot of gemfish. So yeah, it's good fun to see. Actually, the old blue nose have been coming and going a bit, but lately they've been coming in pretty good.
Yeah, that is really good news. I think maybe the commercial sector haven't been out there for a wee while. Let's hope they don't go out and hammer it. Also, on your way back in, you picked up a marlin, of course, and the water out there is still a lovely colour, I understand. Dwayne, it's still looking pretty fishy.
Yeah, I think if you were... our last day in, the skippies were back in numbers here. We haven't seen skippies much this year, but they're in full force on our last trip out, so they've arrived fairly late, and they're in fairly close at the moment. They were in about 60, around that 70 metre mark. So still a lot of skippies and that around, but yeah, I think if you're heading out for the marlin now, I'd be going fairly wideish. Yeah,
you're going to get out past that 100 metre line, I would have thought. And on the snapper front, you've put the odd trip out for snapper, and the other boys have been targeting snapper, of course. What's that been going like? I talked to Malcolm Taylor and his crew the other day. Boy, they were absolutely stoked. They had a great day. I think you had an early finish and lots of very, very nice fish.
Yeah, no, there's been some nice fish coming during the week. Fishing's been very easy. We've just been off AS here. Actually, we boys tried something different the other day, and they loaded up real quick, so we've just been heading back up off the bar leads or off AS here. So loading up there, even yesterday we loaded up early. So what are we in, 40 metres? And the Venturer headed off. They had a little bit of shelter from Albatross Point yesterday. They were in just south of the bar lead, sitting around that 35, 40, and they got good numbers too. So there's plenty of fish just off the back door there.
Oh, nice. And there's a bit of foul off Aotea out there too, isn't there, that you often fish over, and that can be quite productive. I know one day I was out there with you and lobbed over a big bonito head, and you sort of looked at me sideways on a stray line, but we picked up a nice fish around, I think it was 14, 15 pounds, something like that. Yeah,
you're right. Yeah, no, Aotea, with the fish hanging around Aotea Reef would be humming, I'd say. Langdon's Rock would be worth a shot. The guy actually had a guy on the boat yesterday put down a filleted mackerel frame, a whole head and the whole body of a mackerel, and I sort of looked at him, a bit funny too, but he brought in about a 14-pound fish, so he was pretty heavy.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, and then of course we had poor old Donna with the thumb, with a hook in her thumb, so that was a bit of a thing too that we had to deal with. But never mind, that's another story.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Hey, listen, mate, thanks for your time, we do appreciate it. Look after that lovely lady of yours, and let her get a hold of that steering wheel now and then, and you have a great day.
Okay, sounds good. Cheers.
Good on you, mate. There are Dwayne Pinney on the Clansman out there doing it. Got a full crew, and yeah, very nice fishing at the moment. Up off Aotea, there's a bit of foul off Aotea there, and if you can anchor the right way and burley back to that foul, we've done very well over the years there.
Ben Carey sent me a photo through the other day, put whole squid on.
Yep.
And picked up two beautiful, big, deep red snapper. But he said whole squid. A couple of hooks in it, the whole squid.
Where was he fishing? Kelly Talton's?
No, off... with Dove Charters.
Oh.
He was there.
Say no more, mate.
The big fill-up, the big fill-up.
Yeah, mate, absolutely.
Who's trying to get,
there's some very nice fish out there at the moment.
My number hasn't come up.
Hasn't it?
No, went and take an ad break so I can resolve my...
You looked a bit sulky.
Resolve my sulks.
It's Stradic 5000 on that beautiful blackhead rod. I know my grandson Grayson and my son Josh would love to win it, but sorry, boys.
So would Mintie.
Number didn't come out. I know, Mintie would. We're looking for...
Well, if they don't answer the phone, it'll be Mintie.
Oh, don't like your chances there, but however. Come on, let's go. Let's answer. Mind you, it's a long weekend,
Hello.
They could...
No one is available to
Ooh.
take your call. Please leave
a little message.
after the tone.
Hi there. Bungee here from Newstalk ZB and the Fishing Show. Can you give me a call back ASAP, please, on 07 834 1296. We have a bit of good news for you. 07 834 1296.
Well, that's a bit of a beggar. that they didn't answer their phone.
I
Cause
think we're looking for a lady too, aren't we? Well, hey, we're not looking for a lady. I think a lady has won the prize.
I just wonder if we should try again. Hang on.
Oh, yep, righto. You're going to try and do something clever. They probably got their phone on doze or something. Or did you get a text? Ooh.
Yeah, hi, this is Graeme. I'm not available right now. Please leave your name and number. I'll get back to you.
Oh, gosh. Oh, she got a diversion on her phone through to, it seems that your phone's ringing.
Oh, did you pick up on that?
I think so. Sorry.
Damn. Did I get caught?
You've been snapped.
Look, that's all right, because we're giving away a watch. No, we've given away a watch too, and he's not answering his phone either. It's Warwick. Warwick, he's out. I don't know where he is, but he's won a watch from Dinsdale Jewellers.
I think that's Warwick Weber, is it? I think.
Yeah,
Cambridge guy.
A texter.
Text on the phone, he did.
He's texted in, so I've been back through. Warwick Weber from Cambridge. I think it might be. He texts in each week and tells us how wonderful we are, doesn't he?
I think all these sensible people are on holiday for the long weekend, mate. Why aren't we out doing that? There's something wrong with this picture.
The win from the rod and reel goes to Julie.
Yeah, a Julie. And what area is she from?
She's Morrinsville, I think.
889.
889.
Uh-huh.
Could be a really good kitty-only player. Yeah.
If you know a Julie from Morrinsville, well, tell her that she needs to give us a call.
Everybody's
we'll be back shortly. We're going to
Everybody's
catch up with the two trout gurus, really. Ken Duncan from the Taupo region and young Glenn Skinner from Rotor Vegas. John Elwood's away at the barrier, can't get a hold of him. He did say that the fishing has been quite good up there. The snapper fishing around the Mercs has been very good. Right along the edge of the foul, if you're heading up there, you've got quite big tides at the moment, so you can get into places like Peach Grove, Bumper Point, the Sisters around off the Cove, and those sort of places. But with this prevailing southwesterly over the next day or two, along the front there, Coralie Bay, areas like that, I think that should be pretty good, well worth a look. And out wide, there's a few marlin out around the hook, explosive dump area, but in close to the 100-metre line from the Aldermans up towards Mere and outside Castle Rock. John was telling me the other day that there's been a few fish showing up around there, particularly this time of the year on the live baits. You do get plagued with the old munchies, as we said before. There's a lot of sharks around, but if you're in luck, it's a great way to pick up a marlin at this time of year as well. And out in the Bay of Plenty on the old marlin scene, pretty good action really between sort of Schooner and Astrolabe and up towards Penguin Shoals on the 100-metre line once again on live baits. Not necessarily all on live baits, but it's a very economical way of fishing, but it's also quite a productive way because that live bait puts out a real vibe in the water, and particularly if you can get them down a bit deeper.
So you're out at the 100-metre mark, 100-metre deep, and you put a live bait out. How deep's your live bait going?
It depends. If you use an outrigger, and that's outrigger. If you use a downrigger, you can actually determine the depth that you put them down to. But if you're just trolling anyway, and if you're going real slow and you put them out a fair way, they'll go down 30 to 50 metres.
Will they?
Yeah, they'll be down sort of halfway.
Kahawai?
Ideally, if they seem to love skippies like Bonito, but they are harder to keep alive because they're more of a sort of a high octane fish, if you like.
Hyperactive fish.
Whereas the old Kahawai, boy, they're tough as old nails. They'll stay alive all day, and you can just troll them around. At the end of the day, you can let them go, and they'll swim away again. They're quite amazing fish. Very tough.
Okay, we'll take a break now that you've given me a birth of information.
Say no more, brother.
I've learned something today.
Excellent. Pleasure. How are you with the fishing show on Newstalk ZB? It's always an absolute pleasure to head off down to the beautiful Taupo region and catch up with the man himself, young Kenneth Duncan. Good morning, mate.
Yeah, good morning, Chris. Yeah, nice looking morning in Taupo this morning. The wind got up a bit yesterday and made things a little bit difficult for probably anybody wanting to get out on the lake, but it's calm now, but there is just the odd little puff coming through, so it may get a bit scruffy later on as the wind picks up.
Yeah, talking to somebody at the Rotorua lakes yesterday, we're all covered in froth all around the edges of them, and usually that's a sign that it's been fairly scruffy at some stage. Yes, that's for sure. But I tell you what, after that bit of a blow and sort of calmness, but there is going to be a bit of a breeze get up again later on, but early morning would be the ticket, wouldn't it? I mean, a bit late this morning now, but tomorrow morning and the next morning, that change a lot, I understand down there, a bit of harling and that sort of thing is still turning up some nice fish.
Look, it really is. I mean, the fishing hasn't been too bad, but as I say, things have just changed. We've gone through a little change. We're into April, starting to get into autumn and winter times.
Yeah.
And like places we've been jigging for pretty much right through the summer have gone really, really quiet. Whaiwaka Point, where you'd normally go and expect to get 2 to 5 or 6, 7 fish, something like that, just not getting anything in the deeper water at the moment. But talking to somebody that went down the Golden Mile the other day with the wind, running 10 colours of lead around in the 30 to 50 foot mark, and picked up 4 really nice fish. So kind of indicates that perhaps the thermoclines are starting to move around a little bit and the fish are starting to spread out a wee bit more. So could be a little bit trickier to find them at the moment, but just persevere, try a few different depths, and I'm sure the fish are still there, and when you do get them, they're in absolutely superb condition.
Yeah, mate, yeah, but and what about sort of up on the rivers and streams at the moment? What are they looking like?
Well, we had a good rain early Tuesday night. We had thunderstorms and quite a lot of rain. The Tongariro went up to about 37 cumex, which is still not very high, but just enough to move things around. The Tauranga Taupo went up to about 0.4 of a metre, which is just perfect fishing. They've dropped down again now. Tauranga Taupo is running at around about 0.23 of a metre, and the Tongariro is down to about 23 cumex. So still really good fishing, but that little burst of fresh water probably got some fish to move around. So the browns are still in the rivers. We're expecting some of those early spawning rainbows to start coming through from now on. So, well worth the time to have a look if someone's coming down with a fly rod.
Yeah, absolutely. And, low and clear, so longer fluorocarbon, as you said, that's the key, and those smaller sort of imitative patterns. A lot of fun to fish with. I mean, you've got to be a bit careful, but, Once again, great information, my friend. Thanks very much for that, and you have a great day.
You're right. Cheers, guys. Talk to you next week. Bye.
Well, there we are, Ken Duncan from the Taupo region, and I'll tell you what, we just had a text through from Rick Pollock, but we might be battling for time, I'm not sure.
He thought we'd have Easter off, didn't he? I bet he thought he was feet up and not having to
Correct.
bother.
He's up in the far north, relaxing.
And he'll really want to talk on radio. You're not.
Probably.
He'll be having a pink gin for breakfast.
Exactly. Are we taking a quick break?
Yeah, we're going to take a quick break, and then we've got about 6 or 7 minutes of the show left, so we might struggle to do both.
Back them up, we'll see.
We'll see if we can try.
Saturdays are for talking sports. The All Sport Breakfast with Peter Kelly of Bailey's Real Estate. Trust a proven performer. Newstalk ZB.
And I just had a text through from Rick Pollock up in the far north. He's, we can't get through to him, unfortunately, but he texts me through. And, quite a bit happening up in that region at the moment. Things have warmed up a wee bit, so maybe some of those, it could be that the new fish arrived, but I'm picking it could be fish heading back as well. Their circulation, or their run, if you like, is head into the Bay of Plenty and those sorts of things, and then they head back up north and up around the Three Kings, Wanganella Banks and that sort of things, usually through April and right through May as well. So that could be what they're happening, but there is certainly a bit happening up there. So if you get an opportunity to fish up in the northern region, Whangaroa, places like that, would certainly be well worth a look. And a bit happening down in the Waihau Bay as well, he said. A few blues showing up around there. Hasn't reached a great height that we hoped the season would, but probably number one this year would have been the West Coast, and that's gone a wee bit quiet as well. But it's still not too late, that's for sure. Right, let's talk trout fishing now, and we've just caught up with Ken Duncan down there in the Taupo region, who said that the jigging and that sort of thing has sort of changed a wee bit. Probably these cooler mornings and the temperatures dropping a wee bit would have something to do with that as well. A man who knows the Rotorua region like the back of his hand, of course, is young Glenn Skinner. Good morning, Glenn.
Morning, Bungee. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you, my friend. Great to have you on board with us this morning. And, a change in things a wee bit down in the Taupo region. What's it been like around Rotovagas?
That's kind of interesting because we've had a bit of a lift this week, particularly with the jigging. That thermocline area is starting to move a wee bit as the surface temperature is dropping.
Yeah.
So it's kind of back to sort of fishing the bottom and all the way through the whole range, and even shallow areas in that sort of 18, even shallower than that sort of 15, 14 metres around structures starting to do things as well. So it's kind of interesting. Plus a few more areas have picked up, particularly on Rotowedi and Tarawera, so sort of bodes well for the next little bit out to the end of the season.
I know you don't like to have too many people parked up on Vercos there, but this time of the year that normally sort of starts to tweak up a wee bit too. What's happening like?
Yeah, that's true. Particularly the one off the poles, that structure in there, that sort of apex. There's quite a few fish in there, and in fact, right along that little run there. So using the poles to sort of triangulate yourself is working pretty well. And right along that top of that edge, it's worth having a look to before you drop off and fish that sort of 28 to 30 metre range. And in fact, if the wind's right, you've got anything with a bit of an N in it, you can sort of drift off. Start in the sort of 14 or 15 metre area, come off, drop the edge, and then just fish right out to about just just under 40 metres, and that's definitely worth a look. And the far end, the eastern end of it, a little bit gnarly in that area, but as far as losing gear, but that's starting to work too off what used to be referred to as Pump Shed Bay, where the kahika tear trees are. That's working, but all that northern area all the way down to Hinihopu, reasonable numbers of fish and some activity all the way through there. The two skid sites, a slip around to the dump area, and probably the standout this week is also the same as last week off the Waiiti. If those other areas aren't working, that the Waiiti stream has been producing some pretty good fish at about sort of 64, 65 feet.
Okay.
So that's worth a look too. But if you are fishing that area, you need to spend a bit of time having a bit of a putt round to line up on the fish. They're in very, very tight shoals. So you need to be actually seeing them before you drop.
Yeah, I lost Mintie for a few minutes there after he mentioned about somebody trying to triangulate themselves on a pole, and he said, I've seen that, actually. I've watched that before today, but I sort of had to bring him back to earth and say, no, this is power poles out off the lake. So, yeah, I've got him back here with me again now. He'd sort of drifted off there for a few minutes. But,
as opposed to Ford Street, mate. Yeah, I don't think the old jigging would be that effective up there, just quietly.
No, exactly. Hey, I talked to some guys that have been down to and took our advice and actually fished on Lake Rotorua itself, and they were out off the stream mouths, I think the Waititi, and out off that area there, and boy, they had a great day.
Yep, that's right. The two streams themselves, they have been producing fish, particularly the Matamata under the bridge there. That's really firing up. But you've got to be there at Sparrows, and fish through till light, and that's producing some not so much big fish, but really good numbers of fish.
Yeah.
And it's very, very surprising that area has always been pretty effective, particularly after that heavy that flooding that we had a few years ago. That sort of killed that, not so much killed it, but sort of filled in the hole there, the pool.
Yeah.
But for some reason, there's still big numbers coming up to that area, so it's worth a look. And a bit further downstream, there's a couple of nice little holes there that are still producing, but the upper Nongi is starting to fire a wee bit, and that's definitely worth a bit of a look there too. Again, the water's a little bit low, so you just got to keep working at it.
Yeah, and talking to a couple of guys the other day that had been down to Tararua, and they, after listening to your advice once again about the condition factor of the fish on Tararua, and once again, jackpot. They said the fish weren't huge, but a lot around that sort of 3 to 4 pound, and but lovely condition.
Yep, and during the week we've had a few groups of mates that have been out there, and the best I heard was 3.6 kg, which was pretty cool too, and that was in the area that we spoke about last week, just south of Red Beach, that little area we spoke about, where there's like a little cave in there. It's not huge, it's only about a metre probably long, and half a metre high. And right off that cave, there's some serious structure in there, and there's some fish holding in there too, and that's where that big one was caught. So, and straight across on the Whitecliff side, that drift all the way through down there to the bush and getting close to Charlie's camp is definitely worth a look.
Fantastic, my boy. Words of wisdom once again. Thank you very much for taking the time to have a chat with us. We really appreciate it, my friend. And you have a great day, mate.
And just spend the weekend trying to triangulate your telephone poles in a quadrangular thing beside the octagon, would you?
That's exactly right, Mintie. I've just got my maths textbook out now, just working out a few more Checo things for next week.
Might take a while.
It probably will. Yeah, probably will take a while too, mate.
Have a great day, my friend. Right. Well, there we are. Glenn Skinner from the Rotor Vegas region. The Trout Connection, he calls himself. If you want to get down there and have a great day's fishing, get out there with Glenn on the water. You will really enjoy yourself. He's a great bloke, knows the lakes like the back of his hand, and always good for a laugh as well. And when you need to be, you got to be serious. We're coming up, of course, as the big sports hour.
Tis indeed. Nolan Tarua, Matt Cooper, Julia Ratcliffe, Zoe McMillan, and more.